radio talk show host, Atlanta area. Martha Zoller, my good friend. Great to have you, Martha.
Thank you.
Martha Zoller ran for Congress in, Martha, 2014?
2012. Yeah.
Oh, man,
I did
time
radio.
is dating us.
Yeah, well, I did radio for 20 years, ran for Congress in 2012, and then in 2014, I helped Senator Perdue get elected, and then worked in his office, and then I helped Governor Kemp get elected and stood up his field office, and then I went back to radio in June, so it was great.
I tell you what, and you're on in Gainesville now, right, 9 to 10 a.m.?
Yes. Yes.
Right, so you got to get out in a couple hours. I got to tell you what, when I first started my show, Martha was on for a very long time, and we were at CPAC when it was in Washington,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Not at Harbor Place at the Gaylord. It was still downtown D.C., and we went there, and I asked her to stay for Saturday to help me, and I remember you had breakfast with me. You spent 2.5 hours with me, helping me, do's and don'ts. Here's what to do and everything. You were a great coach and mentor. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you know what? That's what we have to do, right? My goal is always to I help Republicans get elected. I push forward the conservative agenda, and you fight for who you believe in, and then you get behind whoever won, and then try to push it forward. And that's what you got to do. We've got to do a better job of that. And it's not just Republicans. There's too many people going to their corners and never coming out again. I have no problem during an election cycle, people going to their corners. That's what you should do. You go to your corners, you fight for your candidate, you do what you do. But once things have been decided, you need to get behind the people until they give you a reason to run against them.
Well, look, Martha, I think you're spot on here. Look, I'm at Georgia to celebrate Brian Kemp opening up Georgia. I told the story. I'm driving down from Washington, D.C., 85, and I get to North Carolina. And do you know how you have those signs that are on the interstate now, those big digital signs?
Yep.
They're controlled by the state government. So I'm in North Carolina, and I see all these signs on 85 South. I see 8 of them in my trip down, and they say COVID alert or COVID-19 alert. And North Carolina says stay home. So it says COVID-19 alert, stay home. I get to Georgia. I get right over the line on 85. Same sign, same thing. COVID alert, protect the elderly and the vulnerable.
Right. Yeah. It's a completely different view of how things are. It's about what we should have done all along. It's about taking care of the areas that need to be taken care of, looking after those areas, but giving people, businesses, the ability to be able to open back up if they meet guidelines. It's not just throwing your doors open and letting people come in. And the governor did take advice for the April 30 shelter in place, and he did that for a period of time. And then as the data got better, see, the difference is in the beginning you have models, and the models are always wrong, as the governor said yesterday in his press conference, once you get real data. Once you get real data, you have to operate on the real data, and that's what Governor Kemp is doing.
Why is everybody else operating on the old data?
Well, I think not everybody else is. I think there's 12 or 15 states that are in processes of giving, of opening up. I think it's really ironic when you look at California, who actually has done a pretty good job of managing this whole thing, considering the size of state and the size of the state and how compact they are in certain places. But now they want to make it harder instead of easier. I mean, California could be such a leader, but they're not going to be. I think it's political. I think that if you look at how pandemics have been handled throughout history, there have been 2 or 3 of them in the last 40 years. And I say the word pandemic because it meets a certain criteria, right? That if you have spread of a certain disease through a number of countries, you call it a pandemic, not just an epidemic. We didn't close things up. Even in the 1918 flu pandemic, they didn't close everything down. It really was, it really is a very different time. And I hope what we're going to learn from this is we don't have to close everything down. You just protect vulnerable populations as you would do with any illness. And probably one lesson that we've learned, and I don't know about you, John, but I've done this. I've gone to work when I've been sick before. I have probably gone to work because I think nobody can do what I do better than I do it. and I probably could have stayed home a couple of days. And probably in the future, if I'm running a fever or not feeling good, I'm going to stay home. And that's probably a smart thing to do.
All right. Well, look, Martha, I think we have to get back to work. And I just got to tell you two things.
Agree.
I'm in D.C. I can't stand Fauci or Birx. I don't know why these people are allowed to go on TV every single day and say whatever they want. I mean, there's absolutely no message discipline. Look, you ran Perdue's office. You ran a campaign. You ran for Congress yourself. You just can't have people go out there every day and say whatever they please. So the president says one thing, they run over to CNN and dispute him. She's on Fox now saying, well, everybody has to be able to be tested to open up the economy.
Yeah,
what?
That's
like
ridiculous.
Insane.
Well, I mean, and I heard our old friend, and I say that with quote marks around it, Ezekiel Emanuel. Remember him from the ACA? He's on TV all over the place saying we can't go back to work until there are 2 tests a month for every person in America. Now, that's ridiculous. I think that, yes, probably some more testing should be done. And it's right today, the governor announced yesterday that in DeKalb and Fulton County, they're going to be doing some antibody testing, random testing, just like what they did in California, where they found out, wow, there's 50 times more cases than we thought there were, which means the death rate is down below 1%, which is much more like a flu epidemic than it is anything else, which is what a lot of people thought this was from the beginning. Look, you got to keep things in perspective because the flu deaths are with a vaccine, with a flu shot. I think we've managed this very well. Now, my husband's the physician for the detention center in Hall County, so he's gone to work every day. They've had 1 case of COVID-19. I've gone to work every day. I think if you're smart and you take good precautions, and you are absolutely right about Fauci and Birx, who, I think are, look at their credentials. They have a mixed bag of credentials, especially Fauci. If you look at him over time, he is not the greatest doctor that ever was. He has been wrong before on things, but they should not be allowed to go out and say anything that they want. You're absolutely right. There is a message that comes from the White House. They give their best advice. I don't care if you're a congressman or a senator or the president. You get your best advice, but once you make that decision, then everybody that works for you is supposed to have the same message. That's just the way it is.
That's not happening. And I think, look, there's no bigger supporter of President Trump than I am. I've been with him from January of 2015 when he started talking about running. When I sat there and told him and Corey in January, I said, if you run, you win, and here's why. I've been a biggest supporter. But he's got two weeks, Martha. He's got 2 weeks because this thing, I'm telling you, it is out of control. You've got these swing state governors like Wolf in Pennsylvania, Evers in Wisconsin. They don't want to open these states up because they want the economy to tank. They want to keep the hysteria. They want to keep scaring people. Same thing with Whitmer in Michigan. If Biden wins those 3 states, he's president. Okay? They know this. This is all about power. And the president has now lost total control of the narrative because he continues to sit around while these 2 doctors, bureaucrats, go on TV and dispute everything he says and continue to scare people.
Let me ask you a question because I have thought about this a lot, and I've met the president a few times. You know him much better than I do, but I've met the president a few times. And he's a well-known germaphobe, right? He's a guy that is, probably hadn't, he shook hands for politics because he had to. How much do you think that played into it when they came to him with this doomsday scenario, which you got to believe initially it was a doomsday scenario? It does seem to me that because he is a germaphobe, that it might have played into it a little bit, how he reacted in the beginning.
I think they came to him in a panic with false modeling. Okay, but that's all they had. And look, we didn't know. And so I'm completely sympathetic and was supportive of the 2-week April shutdown to buy some time because no one knew. And remember, here's what they told us. But
now we have data. Now we have data, and we need to act on it. And that's what the governor's doing.
Well, that's what Kemp is doing, and that's why I'm here, Martha, supporting him. All right,
and let me tell you what, there are naysayers on what Governor Kemp is doing, but let me tell you something right now. he is going to be a hero when all this is said and done, because he has gone out there and done this prudently, and he has handled things in a positive way, and he's going to be a big winner in all of this.
You know, maybe he saved America.
He might have saved America by being out there. And Zell Miller said the last group of people, God rest his soul, that you can make fun of are Southern white men. And that is exactly what people are doing to Governor Kemp. But let me tell you something. He is a very smart man that understands small business, and he is doing this the right way with the help of Kathleen Toomey, and she has the same message that he has, and that's why it's working so well.
Yeah, instead of the cloud show I've got going on right now at the White House. It's really ridiculous. And look, Kayleigh McEnany, friend of mine, she's now the press secretary there. That thing is completely out of control. I mean, it is a complete train wreck. They got 2 weeks to get a handle on it. The first thing I would do is take both of these doctors off TV. I mean, you work for the administration. You just don't get to go on Stephanopoulos and pop off every 3 days. Unbelievable. Martha Zoller with us, ran for Congress 2012, got beat by a hair by Doug Collins in a runoff, and she's also the host of the Martha Zoller Show, Gainesville, Georgia. She's been on Morning Drive in your kitchens and cars for 25 years. I don't mean to date her, though. Martha, so Joe Biden, we've got this allegation of sexual assault. When there were allegations against Kavanaugh, every news media ran with it. That went on for weeks and weeks and weeks. No evidence. Nobody cared. They just ran with it. Now we have this person come forward. We got a tape from Larry King. Now we've got somebody collaborating it that came out last night, and not a peep out of the fake news. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, you had Kavanaugh's situation where it was, a woman who wasn't sure of the date, the time, the year, the place, any of that kind of stuff, or that it was even Kavanaugh. Okay, now you've got a woman who has got some pretty clear corroboration from back in the day, as well as, saying it now, and they're not doing anything. And that doesn't surprise me, because they let Bill Clinton get away with it for years, and if you're a Democrat, it seems like you get a pass. But I think he's going to have to deal with this, and his defense is going to be that after, the Access Hollywood tape, anything's game. But he's, that was words, this is actions. And he apparently went a lot farther than just sniffing her hair in this particular situation.
Well, I mean, she said that he sexually,
he raped her.
Assault.
He raped her. That's sexual assault.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, yes, it was a rape. Yes. I mean, I guess when you penetrate someone, is that classified as a rape?
I agree. I think it does. And it's certainly sexual assault. And I think that, he needs to pay for that. And it disqualifies him for the many reasons that disqualify him. But, the mainstream media will protect him as they have protected Democrats over years. And so we've got to keep talking about it.
Yeah, Martha, and they never even ask a question.
No.
That's what's so sick about it. They never even ask a question. All right, Martha, I got to roll. John Fredericks Radio Network. Martha Zoller, thanks for being with us. People want to follow you on Twitter. Martha, where do they go?
It's Martha Zoller, very easy to find. And I just want to say, John, your show's terrific, and I'm so proud of what you have accomplished, because you have built something very difficult to build, and you're doing a great job.